let's talk about one of your favourite topics, climate catastrophizing. You could write a book about the number of doomsday climate predictions that never eventuated, didn't even come close to eventuating. And we have a couple of examples to look at here. Here is a Forbes headline from 5 years ago. It says, "We have 5 years to save ourselves from climate change," Harvard scientist says. And let's have a look at some of this Harvard scientist's predictions. He said the chance that there will be any permanent ice left in the Arctic after 2022 is essentially zero. That's what James Anderson said, along with a bunch of other stuff. Alex, your response?
Well, I think what we should learn from this is just the kind of corruption in picking one scientist and then acting like they're speaking for everybody. And I talk about this in Fossil Future. I call this the phenomenon of the designated expert, where different institutions say, oh, listen to this person. And it's almost always somebody with an incredibly extreme view who's not looking at the big picture, in this case, is not looking at any benefits of fossil fuels. And what they're doing is what I call catastrophizing. And I think, every morning on Twitter, I post something with the hashtag catastrophizing at Alex Epstein, because there are so many of these false predictions. And we cannot just be cowed when somebody says scientists say X. They need to give evidence and they need to look at the big picture. And this is why they don't do that. And this is why we have all this catastrophizing that keeps coming false.
Well, there seems to be no consequences. If you and I made a prediction that was so laughably wrong, we'd never hear the end of it. But these supposed experts, these scientists, can make these absurd doomsday predictions, and there seems to be no hit to their credibility when none of it happens. And I want to bring you an example of my favourite climate catastrophist, Greta Thunberg, who deleted a tweet from 5 years ago, which featured a prediction. She wrote in June 2018, she shared this. She said, a top climate scientist warning that climate change will wipe out all of humanity unless we stop using fossil fuels over the next 5 years. Goodness me, Alex. Played a clip earlier about Kamala Harris talking about climate anxiety and climate mental health. Is it any wonder that we've got so many kids terrified when these dangerous doomsday disinformation is just being pushed relentlessly?
Yeah, I mean, one of the problems with these doomsday, with the climate anxiety thing, rather, is the people complaining about it are usually people who, they're causing it. They act like, oh, it's so inevitable that everyone's going to be anxious. So all we need to do is pass my political agenda. And then what? The problem's going to be solved in 30 years. So then everyone's going to be miserable for 30 years. It's so ridiculous. We're safer from climate disaster than ever. Greta Thunberg is one of the most well-off human beings who's ever lived on the planet. What people need to understand is, no, we're actually in a renaissance in terms of the earth and in terms of our safety from climate. And fossil fuels are an essential part of that because they power all the machines that make this such an abundant and safe world. So climate anxiety is totally unnecessary, but so many of the people complaining about it are the cause of it.